My new Ask Me About Jury Nullification shirt is coming in. It should be here on the 29th. I'm excited about that. Go to Black Market Cattle Company's website and get you one. I need to talk a little bit about my time with the Libertarian Party and the Mises Caucus and why I left. Why I came back to begin with, why I left. I don't know that I'm going to have enough time to do that on here. I'm going to try. So I left the Libertarian Party a long time ago. I joined a long time ago, early 2000, well, before 2000. I lived in Birmingham and Southside at the time. And I joined because I didn't know anything about, I didn't know anything about politics really. And it seemed like I thought the Libertarian Party would be about liberty. And I wasn't, back then I didn't, it was a good alternative. I thought they were going to be more Ron Paul-like. Anyway, it wasn't for me. I found out it wasn't for me. I spent some time in California with the Ventura County Libertarian Party. And then I interviewed Gary Johnson for an article, or I didn't. I interviewed Judge Gray, who was his running mate at the time, for an article. And we got to the subject of Israel. And he said there was no daylight between a Johnson administration and Israel. And I sort of pressed because Ron Paul was pretty adamant about it at the time. And he cut me out. He shut me down. He's like, no, basically we love Israel. And so, and we're gonna give Israel aid. We're gonna, whatever Israel needs, we're gonna do. And so then I realized, and everybody was supporting it and him. And so then I realized the LP wasn't for me. So I left. And right now we're at the 2-minute mark of this video. My long videos don't get any traction. I mean, they don't show them to anybody, but I feel like this needs to be a pretty long video. So if you're watching this, if you're watching on a short or something, please go to Anti-State Content at YouTube and watch the full video, or go to my Anti-State Content Substack and watch the full video. Because there's a lot going on here. Sorry for the commercial in the middle of what I was saying, but I know that it's just going to get cut off. But the full video is there, and watch my other videos too. I only do 3-minute ones because that's all that gets shown. But anyway, back on topic. I'm not going to rush this. So that was the main thing. I realized that they were interested in a PG version of liberty. Like, they wanted to be in the box and be a socially acceptable, politically correct version of libertarian. And so I left. And, there were a lot of reasons, more than just that. But so I left, and I went on about my life. And I basically, for the next 10 years, viewed the LP as an embarrassment to the word liberty. And so didn't have anything to do with it. And then the Mises Caucus came around, and they billed themselves as Ron Paul Revolution 2.0. I liked a lot of things they were saying. I believed in a lot of what they were saying. I believed in... So this is important to say, I think. So now, today, the climate is a little different than it was back in 2020, back in 2022 even. We were being canceled left and right for saying things that some people found offensive. Like, there were things you were allowed to say and things you were not allowed to say. And I believed, and I still believe, that it's important that you need people to challenge those boxes. Even if it offends your ears, you need people to say those things. And so, and it cut differently. Like, you could criticize one group of people and be fine, but criticize any other group of people and be canceled. And there was this whole Karen thing going on. And so I believed it was important. I believed it was important to push back on that. And I believed it was, a lot of times, and back then that was when Reed, Cloverdale, when a lot of New Hampshire was really strong and really involved in the movement. And the talk, they called them edgelords, whatever. I saw the need for it, and I liked it, and I was glad. I felt like it was punching back against the establishment, it was punching through, and it was a punch that needed to happen. Because speech, being able to say words is important. Dividing people by groups, pretending one group of people are too fragile to hear words is offensive to me. So that was important to me. And so a lot of what was going on at the time, I believed in. And so I was like, I think they're going to make the LP something to be proud of. And they talked about decentralized revolution. They talked about national divorce. A lot of things that I thought the LP should have been talking about for a long time. So I joined gung-ho. It took me a while to join, actually. I mean, I tried to join, and then, they didn't have the organizational structure at the time. So, like, I called. I was like, hey, how do I do this? And then finally I got in, and then there was Reno happened. Everything was good. And I left for a couple of reasons at that time, right after Reno, not long after Reno. Well, no, I led the next year after Reno, I led a takeover of Alabama. That was one of the worst mistakes I made, but I did it, and I own it. The reason Alabama is such a terrible LP is, I'm largely responsible. I had a lot to do, more than I would like to admit, and more than probably the people in power would like to admit. But I had a lot to do with Sam being the chair of the Alabama LP and that sort of thing. And there was a bit of me then that kind of knew who he was, but I knew I couldn't do it. I had a baby on the way, and I had businesses, and I had a farm, and I knew that I wasn't going to do it. So anyway, that's not what this is about. I'm just kind of rambling, I know. But so I put together what I thought was the best team to move forward, and they claimed they agreed with me on everything. Whatever. I left because I had my own life that I needed to take care of, especially with the baby coming, my first baby. And then I saw the Mises Caucus there were a lot of things going on. There were a lot of emails about Angela trying to undercut, I don't know what the right word to say, but try to stab Karen Ann Harlos in the back. And I didn't, right or wrong, I mean, it turned out, she's Karen's, she is what she is, disgusting. But I didn't like how that was, and so that was one reason I kind of cut it off. But the bigger reason I left at that time was they refused to condemn reparations. They refused, like it was Maj was in favor of, he still is, I suppose, in favor of reparations, and like that goes against everything that. It goes against the Ron Paul revolution, but it also goes against everything liberty and voluntary. I mean, it's you're paying a debt to someone who wasn't around to be harmed, and the person paying the debt wasn't around to do the harm. So I'm not going to get into anyway, it was pretty self-evident to me. And so that was kind of a line that I couldn't cross. And it was an argument that we had, and I understand Michael's point. Like, I understood it then, but I understand it even more now. I don't have anything against Michael Heiss. He doesn't like me. But I know a lot of people on here are going to want me to bash Angela and bash Heiss and say that, this isn't one of those things. This is just me telling my story. But Heiss, I think he created something impressive, and I'm proud of him. I think he did what people should do. He went in, he got in over his head, and but he kept going, and he built something. But I think circumstances, his life at the time, I don't know anything about what Michael's doing now. Like I said, I don't have anything against Michael Heiss. I'm just telling my story. So, and to be transparent, I do think he does not like me. So I'm saying this, even thinking he doesn't like me, I don't dislike him. And I'm not throwing him under the bus because I don't think he did. I think things could have been different had he been in a different place. I think Michael was the right person to run the caucus, but he was, he was trying to find a shoe size there. He didn't really know what he was doing, and he caught the tiger by the tail. But what he built and organized is even if you hate the guy, what he did was very impressive for someone with no background in doing it. And Mike wasn't a guy that had money, he was doing it on a shoestring, and he was developing a life and getting a wife and a family and all that. And so he was trying to figure out how to do that, how to be honorable, how to hold to his principles, make a living, and do all those things. And so he didn't say this to me. We had a couple of arguments about the reparations thing. He brought up that Rothbard was, I don't care that Rothbard, I don't believe that I believe everybody's wrong about something. And Rothbard also believed that you should be able to sell your children. So, I love Murray Rothbard. I don't, but he's not infallible. And I think Mike understood my point too. Mike's point was it's a strategy. It's a way to not alienate a certain group of people, which was my problem. I didn't want to be part of a group that wanted to attract members by that means. Like, that wasn't, I wanted just the truth, I wanted just a revolution of truth. And so that's why but Mike's point was, hey, I'm trying to grow this. I'm trying to do this. This is a strategy to do it. It's not philosophically inconsistent. We disagreed on that point. And that was that, and I left. And then I left and I was gone. And for 2 years, I think, I just, it might have been a year. I don't know, a year or two. I just left. I never badmouthed the caucus. I never badmouthed the party at that time. I never did anything. I just left and minded my business. And then I came back when Chase won the nomination, because it was a joke. And there are people who are here that are going to want me to bash the caucus, and then I'm not making any friends here, because I am not saying what caucus people want me to say, but I'm certainly not going to say what Chase Oliver supporters want me to say. I'm me, and that's who I always have been. And I think Chase Oliver's a joke. I think he's what I think ruined the party to begin with. He's he wants to do the safe, what he thinks is politically correct, what he thinks is just enough liberty. He wants to take those stances. And then people, the same thing I had against the caucus people not taking the stand against reparations, is the same thing I have against Chase and Chase's defenders. They'll be like, well, he's technically saying on platform stuff. Okay, for example, he praised private businesses for instituting vaccine mandates and vaccine passports and cards and whatnot, and he praised that as a pro-liberty private property stance, right? And taking at face value, yeah, but that's not really true, because they weren't doing it at the time. Businesses weren't. Some might have been, but you don't know which ones were and which ones weren't, because government was threatening to lock them down again, to shut everybody down, shut the businesses down, close the businesses, and then they were also bribing them with incentives, and so to do the government's bidding. And so an honest read of that is, hey, I think a business should be able to do this, but right now that's not what's happening, and we don't know what's happening. Government needs to stay out of it. At least give the truth of it and say, hey, I support this, whatever. I think it's stupid. I think that it's short-sighted. I don't think there's really any rational defense of a presidential candidate of the Libertarian Party supporting vax mandates or encouraging businesses to institute vax mandates. But you can make that argument. You can say, hey, that is but not in the circumstances there were, and especially while leaving out the whole show, right? So, you know, talking out of both sides of your mouth, like I think that's the kind of guy that Chase Oliver is, and that's what he was doing there. That's what I had against. So anyway, I wanted to come back, and I wanted to, and I'm always, this is me anyway, it really wouldn't have mattered who. If I like watching Dave Smith's show, I'm not a Dave Smith fan, definitely not a fanboy. Like, I like him. We've argued on Twitter, X, whatever, more than the only interactions we've had have been disagreements, right? So, but I mean, I agree with him like 85% of the time. I agree with him enough that if he had won the nomination, I wouldn't have came back. Like, I wouldn't have had any reason to. There was nothing for me to fight against. Dave would have been a great spokesman for the party. He would have said things about borders and public property and things of that nature that I would have fought against, but not to the point of thinking he was worth my time in trying to defend the liberty movement from. Chase, on the other hand, I thought was an embarrassment to the movement, and I thought that, and that's the point I was getting at a minute ago, I believed that the Alabama Libertarian Party should have refused to petition for him and not campaign for him, and instead tried to run a NOTA campaign. Or what I would do is I would run Eliminate the Office. I would run an Eliminate the Office campaign for a bunch of reasons. I mean, in the first place, if you're in California, if you're in Connecticut, if you're somewhere like that, you can. It's good business for the LP in those places. It's not good business in Alabama, and it's not only not good business, but it's gross. And then that's besides all the other stuff, So anyway, I came back really to push that. Had a lot of popular support to push that, but Sam fought me on it the whole way, and I wasn't willing to. I wasn't willing to do what needed to be done to stop it. So, but I came back for that reason, and I came back during the presidential thing. And after that, I thought about running for chair of the Alabama LP. I thought I would have won. And there's no doubt. I mean, I would have won. But so, I mean, there were 22 people at the convention, I think, the Alabama LP convention. So that's not a brag saying I would have won. That I could have gotten 14 or 15 people to come with me and vote for me, Anyway, but I didn't. Because I don't want to be. Same reason I left the first time. I don't want to be. And I realized then, like, the only reason it matters to me is not because, like, I'm an anarchist. I don't believe in party politics, but I like the platform. And I believe that when people hear the word libertarian or voluntarist, what I am, anarchist, whatever, the Libertarian Party sort of represents all of that, for better or worse. Like, for the normal person, the person that we're trying to reach, they represent that, and so it tarnishes us. So I wanted it, so it was important to me for that reason. But, I feel I can do more. Making these videos, making my t-shirts, writing my columns, being on social media, encouraging people to serve on juries and nullify nonviolent crimes and those sorts of things. I feel that's more my calling than trying to go in and argue bylaws for a group of 20 to 30 people to do nothing, basically. So anyway, but then so I hung around, and I left that, but I still kind of hung around the main party. Not really. I mean, I wasn't really active, haven't really been active in a while. And I noticed that, like, when I came back to the Mises Caucus, back to the LP, like I said, I came in because of Ron Paul 2.0 and national divorce and all of this stuff. And now they're talking about, these are people, I like these people better than I like the left libertarians, I should say. I have more in common with them. I feel they're more intelligent. I shouldn't have said that last part. I don't know. I I have more, like the conversations are better. Like, I feel we have more of a kinship. I feel that they are blind in some ways, but that if you can come past that, they're open-minded enough to do it. Where people on the left, I think that they have their identity politics, and they're just, there's no, like, that is who they are. I feel like both sides have a mental block keeping them from getting to what I think is the right place. But I think for the people on the right, it's a genuine desire to, and I'm talking only in the LP. I'm not talking about Republicans and all. I'm talking about only in the liberty movement. I think there are people that are on the right that really believe that, hey, God, country, and this is the way to make it better. Like, I don't know. It's not that I don't think the people on the left want to make it better. I just think it's a different thing. I just think it's a different thing. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's okay that I'm wrong. I'm just saying my thoughts here, right? But I left but anyway, they were talking about, at first it was with Dave talking about borders, and they're always trying to make, I'm not borders, well, borders too, but public property like parks and schools and that sort of thing. And they're always trying to make them work. They're always trying to make it like, you want to keep the homeless out of them. You want to do these things, and that's silly. Like, if you're really, their argument is those things shouldn't exist, but they do. And as long as they do, this is what we should do. Okay, but you can say that about anything, right? Like, gun laws shouldn't exist, but they do, and as long as they do, then we should make the best gun laws possible. Like, if you take anything else that they don't agree with and use the same logic, well, they don't like that, right? And then they say you got to live in the real world. Well, both things are the real world. Immigrate, so. But Dave's thing is, hey, this is politically popular, and so, that's part of it. And it is, with his crowd, it is really, really popular. And what I believe in is not really popular. Freedom is not really, really popular when people start realizing that there is accountability to it. And I'm not attacking Dave Smith. I mean, Dave Smith doesn't know who I am. I've got 7,500 followers on Facebook, and that's my big thing. And I reach like dozens of people. So Dave Smith doesn't care what I have to say. I'm not here attacking Dave. I'm just, again, explaining that when I say Dave sort of, a lot of people in the caucus sort of, Dave speaks for them. And so that bothered me, like them trying to, it bothered me as much as the reparations thing bothered me. Like, I don't want government property to exist. I'm fighting against that. I'm not trying to make it better. I'm not trying to make it more palatable. What I think you should do is let all the junkies into the public parks and the public schools. Let them there, and then nobody will send their kids there, right? Open up a private park. People will take their kids to the private park. They're not going to take it to the park with a junkie in there. You don't try to make those, and I know anybody that's not already understanding my philosophy, they're like, what in the hell is this guy talking about? But if your goal is truly to end public property, communism, then that's what you would do, right? You would want it to be as horrible as it is. You wouldn't try to artificially make it better and make it suit your needs so people like you can use it. You wouldn't want to use it. You don't want to use it. And you wouldn't want anybody else to use it because it exists with stolen money. And you don't want to use stolen money to prevent members of the public from using public property if you're being consistent. And to them, this is where the split started going. They said, well, they laugh at people with principles, right? They're like, you can win or you can have principles. Well, I don't care. I mean, the Libertarian Party's not going to win. The best chance Libertarian ever had at gaining anything in politics was with Ron Paul. And he got like 10% of the Republican primary. So that's not going to happen. And the way to make change is to be honest with people, to sell what is, to say, hey, this is what's so horrible. Like, I don't want people to send their kids to the government schools. I don't. Like Michael Malice says, the first time some people experience violence in their whole lives is when they go to government schools. And I think that's true. I don't think it's a safe place for children. I don't want to make it good. I don't want to make it I would rather it be as ugly as possible and everybody stay away from it than paint a pretty facade, everybody go into the indoctrination chamber. That doesn't make sense. There's nothing sensible about that. What you want to do is opt out. So anyway, but you know, those are reasonable disagreements we can have. You can say, I mean, they wore it on their sleeve though. I mean, it was like, they got real mad about it, you know, if you took the different stance. Not people I'm close to. I'm talking about, when I say they, I mean the big accounts, right? It was, of course, I mean, it was also content and it was numbers and all that, so I don't know how they really feel, but I believe them. I believe they feel how they say they're feeling. So anyway, that was when I really started pulling away from the Mises Caucus, when I saw that it was turning into what they were accused of for a long time, of being Republicans. And again, I'm not bashing that's, you know, I don't think Dave Smith is just a Republican. I believe Dave Smith has been amazing on war. I don't think, I believe that I believe the Mises Caucus is better on war, on foreign policy, on Israel. I think they're great on so many things. So for all my friends in the caucus who are watching this, I'm not calling you that. I'm just saying these are stances that you guys are running on pretty hard that do fit the stereotype that you were accused of by the other side, the borders and and that's fine. You have the right to. I'm not mad at you for it. It's just not what I signed up for, right? That's why I left. That's what I'm saying. It's not like I'm like on here like those guys. I've tried to be very, very clear that, because I'm thinking of, like, I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm thinking of a few names on here that I really am fond of and really respect. And so I don't want them watching this feeling betrayed and I don't know anything anyway to reveal anything. Like, I don't have any inside baseball to give you guys. I'm not even on Discord. I haven't been involved in it for a while. And even when I was, I mostly just tried to make Alabama what I wanted Alabama to be and kind of didn't care what anybody else did. That's why I wasn't cut out for politics. That's what they kept telling me at the time, too, and they were right. When I say them, they kept telling me this. I mean I don't mean the Mises Caucus. But anyway, and now, like, so we're getting to now. Now, like, I saw Angela posting kind of rabidly that, oh, my baby just woke up, he's crying. Mama's taking him back inside, but kind of, very pro-border, right? Very, very very anti-immigrant, very pro-border, very, we have to care about our country. That's fine, right? But, like, if you believe that someone crossing over the line from Mexico to Texas is more dangerous to Texas than someone crossing in from New York or California, then, you know, I can't help you. And that goes against the thing of national divorce. That's saying that, which is what I signed up for. That goes against, like, so would you, that gung-ho, that die hard on the border issue and on the public property and all that. That's why I left them, because it's just not my thing. And I'm not, like, the whole thing wasn't designed for me anyway. I'm a voluntarist. I don't believe in electoral politics. Even at the, I don't believe in electoral politics. I don't believe that's the best way to make change. I don't believe you can affect change in that system. I believe that the Libertarian Party is a great example of that. The Libertarian Party is a very minuscule, like, no power, no money, no prestige. There's no benefit to being in charge of the Libertarian Party. But they fight like they're about to take over the world, and they hold on to that party as if it's precious, right? And it's nothing. And then they get in power and they change. Things change. Nothing stays. Like, it corrupts. You start seeing all the political plays and everybody, like, the backstabbing and the Libertarian Party is at war with each other all the time over that. Like, even the guy, like, the left, we still agree like 70-80% of the time, more than we do with anybody else, you would think. But it's war. They hate each other, like really hate each other, because they want that power. And that's no power. So how can you think if you got an ounce of real power, if you got into Senate, if you got into Congress, if you made it to the White House, that you're going to be, come on, you're going to be a joke. If you want that power, you don't deserve to have it. That's just a fact. So I don't want it, and I never wanted to be a part of a group that wanted it. I want to end it. That's what I'm all about. That's what I've always been about. That's why the Voluntaryist Party of Mike Shaner, all that stuff. It was never about politics. It was about activism. It was about spreading a message. That's why I make the t-shirts. That's why I write the articles. That's why I'm writing the books. That's why I do those things, because I want people to know the philosophy and come as much as they can towards where I'm at, so that my kids can be free. So that I don't want to have to fight the state. Like, I can live here on my farm, and all credit to the Free State Project in New Hampshire, but the closest thing to Ancapistan in America, in the world, in America, I don't know the rest of the world, the closest thing to Ancapistan is the unincorporated South. So I'm not in any city limits. I'm on my farm. I don't ask anybody for permission to do anything, to build anything, the closest, like the truest free thing you have is here. It's on my farm, and I can live like this, and we're cool. But I get scared. I get scared that they're getting closer. What if the city wants to annex down the road, right? What if they want to annex on the other side? Then I got a city to fight. So I want people like me. I want to build communities. I want people like me who value this way of life, but maybe don't know that it's a viable philosophy. I want to reach those people. I don't want to change your mind. If you disagree with me on everything, I don't want to change your mind. Like, if that's what you believe, and that's who you are, and that's what you think is best for your life, and I have no right to tell you that you should abandon politics or be free or be like me. I have no right to tell. If you want that, that's I believe that firmly. That's your right to live that way. It's your right to go vote for somebody. It's your right to do all those things. I just don't want to be a part of it. And I can't. Right now I'm fine. But are my kids going to be? Are my kids going to be able to live like I live if they want to live this way? I don't know. So we need communities. I don't like collectivism, but I like allies. And so there are a lot of people like me. Not enough to win an election, but enough to make changes. Enough to make it uncomfortable for the state to push too far. But the problem is we're all scattered out and we're spread apart. And a lot of us that believe in the things I believe in, especially at the young ages, think the way to do it is at the ballot box. And I want to reach those people before they get too far gone, get jaded, become old hermits. I be an old hermit, but be an old hermit with me. We have to build communities. We have to do business with each other. We have to buy each other's t-shirts and hats. We have to hire each other to build our decks and our barns and our landscaping. And we have to do all those things without demonizing an immigrant that comes across the border that wants to work for cash and doesn't want to pay tax. That guy's more like me than the person who wants him to pay tax and all those things. Like, I want somebody that wants to come across and so my point is, It doesn't matter if you agree with me on immigration or not. It doesn't matter if you agree with me on any of those things. The only thing that matters if you do agree with me is that, you know, you should buy your meat from somebody like me instead of the grocery store. You should buy your, you should get the neighbor's kid to cut your grass if you don't have instead of somebody on the books. There's a lot of changes that can be made, a lot of things that can be made if we don't believe the system is the way to make those changes. And so that's all I want to do. Communities are important. I want to build communities, and I want to build a community. I've got a pretty good community here in town, and in my county where I live. But it's more than that, you know. So anyway, 35 minutes into it, I'm sure 3 or 4 people will see this. But if you're seeing the short, please go and watch the whole video. Just go to my channel, Anti-State Content. Go to Black Market Cattle, the website, and buy a t-shirt or a hat or a dress or some shoes or something. And follow me on Facebook, Mike Shaner. Also on Facebook, Black Market Cattle Company. Also on Facebook, Writing the Revolution and Voluntary Alabama. On Substack, it's Anti-State Content. On X, it's CSA Wordsmith. On what else is there? TikTok, it's Black Market Cattle Company and Mike Shaner. So find me on some of those things, and mainly go to blackmarketcattle.com, and I think we'll have something there you'll like. All right, guys, thanks for staying with me, or thanks to the camera and the guy inside of it looking back at me for allowing me to talk to himself for 37 minutes. Talk to you next time.